after years of traveling space, because we've exhausted all the resources of our beautiful planet Earth, we have come upon a planet in the Goldilocks zone that we may be able to make it habitable. This planet is unknown, but as we descent into this unknown planet, I'm thinking that we're gonna first have to find some water and grow some biomass, upgrade our tech, maybe throw some civilization domes up. If only we had a polyomino space station to give us tiles to put down, and some rovers to take care of these meteorites and assist us with these life pods. Yes, I think I got it. Polyomino tiles is what is going to make us survive the planet unknown. Welcome to another episode of the periodic table of components. Today we are going to be getting into the game Planet Unknown. It is a polyomino tile laying game. You will also be moving some markers up resource tracks to gain a certain amount of victory points. And these are tied to those polyomino tiles that you are laying down on your planet. This game just recently released and I'm loving it already. I'm always a fan of polyomino tile games, and this one does not. This one does not fail for sure, and it doesn't hurt that it's space theme, which I'm always a huge fan of in these games. So yeah, let's go ahead and bring this guy into the lab. We're gonna break out all the components, and we're gonna get a deep dive into everything about Planet Unknown. Join me. Welcome to the lab. We are going to break open Planet Unknown and get into all the components. First thing first is the game box itself. So just a quick intro. This game is 1 to 6 players, averages about 70 minutes. It is recommended for 10 years or older. The cover of the box shows 2 spaceships somehow handling some polyomino style resource carrier that is dropping this off to a planet below, and with an orbital spaceship above. And unfortunately, some spaceships in the background are getting shot by meteorites, and a couple other planets in the vastness of space behind it. This game is designed by Ryan Lambert and Adam Rayberg. On the back of the box here, we're going to see some writing that details, "Greeting, Planeteers. As you know, Earth has exhausted its resources, and we need to act now to preserve the future of humanity. Compete with 1 to 6 Planeteers to build the best planet in 70 minutes. The revolving space station, SUSAN, Susan, is capable of same-day delivering polyomino tiles to build your planet. Simultaneous tile drafting gameplay, quick setup, wide player count, and a storage solution are all delivered by this revolutionary gaming component. It is one giant leap for polyomino board games." They stress that this has zero downtime. Turntable Space Station provides both simultaneous and strategic play with fast playtime even at the high player counts. It offers their challenging gameplay emerges. Collect scattered life pods on your planet and clean up meteor impact sites from your tiles, all while efficiently building your planet. And it is fully asymmetric. Combine planet and player boards to unlock 117 different playable combinations with layers of depth and interaction to explore. You're going to race to claim population benefits through civilizations. You're going to compete with neighbor planets. And you're going to draft and place polyomino tiles on your planets. And that sums up the player box for you. They do show a summary of the contents in the box, which I will get to in a minute. But yeah, this game is pretty awesome. Just a reminder, I am going to be going through the components of the deluxe edition of Planet Unknown. But let's roll right into it. All right, we're going to get into the components of Planet Unknown. This game comes with a space station. It is a rotating Lazy Susan style tray that holds all the polyomino tiles. This will rotate throughout the game, and players are going to be picking up tiles in the direction of their depot indicator and putting these polyomino tiles on their planets. And as you put these tiles on your planet, you will be moving up certain resource tracks that match the design on that certain polyomino tile. There are 144 polyomino tiles. There are 12 different shapes that are offered. There is one commander token, which essentially is a first player marker for that round. The standard edition comes with 6 planet boards and 6 corporation boards. So these planet boards are the planet you are playing as, and the board has some columns and rows to where you are going to be putting these polyomino tiles. And then at the end of the game, you will score depending on how many rows and columns are full from these tiles. And then alongside these planet boards, you will have corporation boards. And some of them are asymmetric and some of them are symmetric, depending on what you choose as players. So they recommend at the very beginning on your first game to play with the symmetric front side. And the symmetric one is the Universal Corporation board. And it has resource tracks that I will be getting into here shortly. So that is what the player is going to have in front of them, the planet board and the corporation board. Again, there are 6 planets and 6 corporations in the standard edition. There are also 12 depot indicators, and these essentially are going to be with the player and the direction they are sitting along with the Lazy Susan style space station to remind them what row they are picking up the tiles from. Then you have 14 rovers. So these rovers will be unlocked throughout the game once you move up on the rover track. And these rovers are moving across the planet to collect meteorites, which will prevent you getting victory points at the end of the game. And they will also be picking up life pods that are on your planet, and those offer victory points at the end of the game. And the game also comes with 36 life pods, 60 meteorites, and 60 biomass patches. You also have 30 resource trackers, so there are 5 different colors. You have black, blue, green, red, and white, and those correspond to the same color track on the corporation board, and those are essentially just marking the position of the resources on those corporation boards. This game comes with 36 Civ cards that are used alongside the Civ track on the corporation board, and essentially these cards are going to unlock special abilities throughout the game that help you get victory points or remove meteorites or help you move your rover a couple extra spaces. There are 9 level 1s, 9 level 2s, 9 level 3s, and 9 level 4s. And we will get into the specifics of those cards here shortly. Then we have 28 objective cards. They are two-sided. One side is going to offer a private goal card during the solo mode, and then you will also have a neighbor side, which is played for used in the multiplayer game. And essentially, they are goals that you are competing to win against your neighbor to the left and right of you on the table. I will get into the specifics of those later also. They also come with an event module, which is this is not required. It is optional. There are 60 event deck cards. There are 20 green alerts, 20 orange alerts, and 20 red alert event cards. It comes with a very handy score pad for in-game scoring. And again, I am doing the deluxe edition today. So we have the upgraded components and expandable content, which is available in the deluxe edition. And this comes with upgraded rover components, meteorite components, and life pod components. These are essentially just a little bit fancier, have a little dark wash on them that looks very nice on the table. And you can also get 2 corporation boards that are extra, 6 extra planet boards, and will also come with a Flux token, which is used for a specific corporation. And those are the components of Planet Unknown. All right, we're getting into the overview, objective, and some short credits for this game. The overview is Earth has run out of resources. 1 to 6 planeteers have been selected to develop an unknown planet to preserve the future of humanity. The objective of the game: you must win the game by scoring the most victory points via efficient planet development, resource track advancement, collecting life pods, removing meteorites, and besting your neighboring planet. The game design, let's back up. We got a publisher of Adam's Apple Games. The game design is by Ryan Lambert and Adam Redberg. Illustration is by Yorgo Manis. The graphic design is by Yorgo Manis and Adam Redberg. And they have a special thanks to all their Kickstarter backers. And this was produced in 2020. All right, let's get into the setup of Planet Unknown. All right, first thing we're going to do is place the space station in the center of the table. This is the Susan, the rotating Lazy Susan style polyomino tile holder. You load the polyomino tiles based on the space station setup instructions. We are going to get into that here in a minute. Number 2, you're going to give each player 1 planet board, 1 corporation board, 2 matching depot indicators, and 5 resource trackers, 1 of each: black, blue, green, red, and white. Set up each corporation board, resource trackers, rovers, and life pods as pictured to the right, and they show a game setup diagram. I'll get into the specifics of that here in a minute. And then each player should individually choose to play with the symmetric side or the asymmetric side. Again, for your first game, they recommend starting with the symmetric side for all players. After your first game, you can do asymmetric side of the planets and corporation boards, and that's just going to add some challenges to the game and the players. So the symmetric side has a complexity rating of 1. The asymmetric side has a complexity rating that may be higher than 1. They vary depending on which corporation you pick, and this is depicted by meteorite symbols on the board itself. Then next thing you will do, each player should take and position the number of life pods and rovers as designated by their planet and corporation boards respectively. Each player should position their depot indicator around the space station, separated equally and directly in front of a depot. These depot indicators, they're essentially going to line up with the depot that is currently in front of that indicator at that point in time. and that is the depot you get to pick for small and large tiles. And then next you will randomly select Civ cards equal to the number of players plus 1 for each Civ card rank 1, 2, 3, and 4. For example, in a 4-player game, there should be 5 cards of each rank. Cards should be organized into stacks separated by rank and placed on the table face down. All other Civ cards should be returned to the box. Next, the meteorites and biomass patches should be set aside and within easy reach of all the players. Then you will shuffle and deal objective cards. The objective cards have 2 sides to them. Use the card side as designated by the grid below, and this grid or table describes that for 3 to 6 players, you will use the neighbor card side, and you put 1 card position between each player. If it is a 2-player game, you will play on the neighbor side, and there are 3 cards positioned between both players. If you are playing this game solo, you use the private goal card side, and you have 4 cards, and you choose 3 to play with. Next, you choose a player to be the station commander and give them the station commander token. They offer this game setup diagram, and they essentially have the planet boards and corporation boards surrounding the Lazy Susan with the objective cards in between each player. And then they have the depot indicators for all those players pointing at the Susan in the middle. That way you know exactly which depot you should pick from during that round. They have some Civ cards face down, the station commander token given to the first player, and then the resource trackers on the resource tracks in black, blue, green, red, and white order. Next, let's dive a little bit deeper into the space station setup itself. You're going to load the space station with polyomino tiles before starting the game. Each section of the space station, called a depot, should be loaded with 2 stacks of 12 tiles each. All tiles within a stack should be the same shape and have the same orientation. Tiles should be organized into an interior ring, which are the small tiles, and exterior ring, which are the large tiles. Position the interior ring before you start to play to create a variable setup for the entire game. So yes, the interior small tiles are on a separate tray that can rotate, so you can offer different gameplay each time, which I thought was a pretty cool feature to this game. They do offer a diagram of the suggested setup for the space station for your first couple games, but again, you can change that however you would like it and add some variability to the depots of the polyomino tiles. And that is going to conclude the setup for Planet Unknown. Very simple, very quick, and very very easy to get this game on the table, and the box allows it to get onto the table pretty quick. It's a nice looking box, and once you mention that there is a rotating Lazy Susan and polyomino tiles, usually people are in for the ride. All right, that wraps up the setup. All right, we're getting into how to play Planet Unknown. Like I said before, this is a very simple game to teach and does not take long to teach the game at all. And so each round, the station commander may rotate the space station as much or as little as they like until any one depot is directly in front of themselves or their depot indicator. Conversely, the station commander may choose to not rotate the space station, leaving it exactly as it is. Once the station commander is done rotating the station, all players must draft one of the 2 tiles from the depot corresponding to their depot indicator. Tile drafting is simultaneous for all players. They offer a picture of an example, but it is pretty much self-explanatory. Whichever depot is lined up with your depot indicator, you pick one small tile or one large tile. and the commander is picking the certain rotation for that specific round. All players place their drafted tile on their planet's grid according to the tile placement rules. And these tile placement rules include that you must do the perimeter first. The first tile to be placed on a player's planet must be touching the perimeter of the planet grid. Tile adjacency. Subsequent tiles to be placed must be adjacent to another tile, orthogonally adjacent to at least one other tile already placed either horizontally or vertically, but not diagonally. This can be changed by upgrading your tech, which we will talk about shortly. But yes, first tile must be on the perimeter, and any subsequent tile must be adjacent orthogonally to that tile. They must be in a single layer, so tiles cannot be placed on top of each other. There can be no overlap. Tiles may not be placed overlapping or outside the grid on the planet. The grid alignment. Tiles must be placed aligned with the grid squares on the planet. And destroying. If a tile is placed onto a life pod or a rover, the life pod or rover is destroyed and removed from the game permanently. All right, those are the tile placement rules. So each tile is divided into two sections. Each section contains one resource and is covered with terrain that corresponds to that resource. Again, the terrain is the specific resource that corresponds to it. All these correspond to a resource track except the energy resource, which we will cover in a minute. So those are the tech terrain, the biomass terrain, the Civ terrain, and the water terrain, and the rover terrain, and then the energy. So after the tile has been placed, advance the resource trackers on your corporation board once for each resource on the tile, no matter the tile size. So depending on the tile size, it does not matter. You will only be moving up 2 resource trackers on this, depending on what the resources are on that specific tile. Again, these are the Civ, water, biomass, rover, and tech. And then you will also have the additional energy, which does not correspond to your resource tracker. We will get into the specifics of the energy resource here in a little bit. And anytime a tile with a meteor symbol is placed on your planet, you must immediately place a meteorite on the top of the meteor symbol. So again, this game came with little meteorite tokens. And if the tile has the meteor symbol on it, you will immediately put that meteorite on there. Squares with a meteorite prevent planet scoring for the row and column where the meteorite exists. These are bad. You do not want meteorites on your planet at the end of the game. You will use your rover throughout the game to collect those, and you can score victory points at the end of the game for depending on how many you collect. This is something you do not want to ignore in this game. Collect those meteorites. After all players have drafted a tile and are done advancing their resource trackers, you pass the station commander token to the next player clockwise and begin a new round. So all that gameplay is all simultaneous between all the players on there. That's what makes this game pretty quick and interactive as far as everybody being able to take a turn every round. We went into the tile placement rules, and there are specific placement rules for both water and energy tile types, and we will get those into the specific of those for the water and energy resource sections in a minute. All right, we are getting into how the game ends. And the game will end one of two ways. So it is either when a player cannot legally place any tile from their depot, or when one depot is completely emptied from the space station. So when a player cannot legally place any of the 2 tiles from their depot, all players finish the round as normal, and then the game is over. Any player who cannot legally place a tile still chooses one tile and advances their tracks for both resources on the tile, but does not place it on their planet, and then you see the scoring section to calculate final victory points. And the second way is if both stacks of tiles of a depot are completely emptied, the game ends at the end of the round the depot was emptied. An important note is a player who can play one of the 2 tiles in front of them must play that tile and the game continues. And that is the 2 ways the game can end. All right, we are getting into the overview of the resource tracks. I mentioned these in the how to play section, but each of these are going to require a little more in-depth explanation. So just an overview, the resource tracks are Civ, Water, Biomass, Rover, and Tech. I will get into each of these individually, but for all of them, each resource track has a corresponding translucent resource tracker. These are those cubes that I mentioned during the components that starts at 0 and advances, which when you advance, you will move 1 position upward throughout the game as you lay those tiles on your planet. Whenever a resource tracker advances, the player claims the benefit underneath the tracker if possible. So some of these will include medals, which are victory points. These are claimed at the end of the game, not during the game. Based on the position of the resource tracker, score the highest value medal that each tracker has surpassed or currently covers on the track it occupies. So you do not include all the medals, only the highest one reached on each resource track. We will get into the end of game scoring here shortly. You will also see some synergy boost symbols as you go up these resource tracks. Essentially, these look like a wild symbol with all the colors of the resources on it. So what these synergy boosts do, when claiming a synergy boost, the player must advance any single tracker once. You will be obeying resource track rules and claiming the benefit underneath the tracker. So the synergy boost can be used as, what am I thinking here? They can be used as a combo. So you can move multiple synergy boost as you go up these tracks in one turn if you are able to. All right, so if a resource tracker advances to the top of a track, the player claims the maximum medals of the track at the game end, but does not benefit from additional tile placements of this resource. There is one exception, and the Rover resource is the exception to this rule that if you continue the advancement, you will be able to continue to move that rover 4 times. And we will get into the rover movement here in a minute. And then, in addition to medals and synergy boost, each resource track may have a unique milestone benefit associated with it. So let's get into those specific benefits for each resource track. Right now, we're going to roll into the Civ Resource Track. All right, the Civ Resource Track. This is depicted by a dome on the leftmost resource track. And then, so the race to innovate and discover requires people, obviously, on your new planet. When a player advances their tracker onto a Civ milestone, they take all remaining Civ cards. These were the cards that were put down during setup. So it was player count +1. So they take all the remaining Civ cards of the corresponding rank from the center of the table and must select one to keep. After they select one, they will return any remaining Civ cards face down to the center of the table. So this track on the Universal Corporation, the bottommost is a 1, and then subsequent 2, then 3 and 4. So depending on what level you reach is the level of cards you are picking from. And as you would guess, as you move up, the cards get better and better. So there are two different cards. There are two different kinds of cards you may pick up. They can be immediate effects or in-game effects. Once a card is chosen, you claim any benefits from the chosen card immediately, only if it is labeled immediate. If it is labeled in-game, you keep it next to your corporation board as secret information to be revealed at the end of the game. And if 2 or more players reach the same ranking Civ milestone during a round, they should select their cards in clockwise order, starting with the station commander. It is possible that a rank of Civ cards may have 0 cards remaining if playing with modules or asymmetric corporations. In this case, the player reaching the milestone is not able to claim a Civ card. All right, the next resource track after the Civ track is the Water resource track. Water is not a milestone, rather, it is essential to life itself. So, this is going to coordinate with the water resource terrain of the polyomino tiles, and a tile with a water resource obeys normal tile placement rules but has an additional placement rule required to advance the water tracker. Any one square of water terrain on the tile must be placed directly onto planetary ice in order to advance the water tracker as a result of the tile's water resource. So these planets in the game have certain areas in the rows and columns that is specifically planetary ice. You're going to want to put the water tiles onto this planetary ice. If the water terrain of the tile is not placed over planetary ice, it may still be placed legally, but the water tracker will not advance. And the water resource track doesn't have any specific milestones that you will reach, but it is dense with many metals, so you are strictly going up the water track for a good amount of victory points at the end of the game. Next up is the Rover resource track. All right, next up we have the Rover resource track. The meteorite cleanup crew is always ready for duty. So, as you would expect, the rover is used to collect the meteorites that show up on your planet. You want to get rid of those from your rows and columns and put them on your corporation board collection and to get victory points at the end of the game. So, when a player advances their tracker onto a rover milestone, they immediately place a rover from their corporation board onto any grid square of the last tile they place. So the last tile you placed has a rover terrain on it, and you move that resource up to the rover symbol. You will put that rover on that tile you just put down on your planet. If the last tile they place contains a meteorite, they may place the rover onto the meteorite, collecting it immediately. The other symbol you will see on the rover track is a number. So these numbers are either 1, 2, 3, or 4 as you move up the track. So when a player advances their rover tracker onto a number, they move their rover or rovers a combined total squares equal to this number. So the Universal Corporation has the availability of 2 rovers. If you are playing with the asymmetric corporations, you may have less or more rovers on that. Here are the rover movement rules. Rover movement is orthogonal adjacent and must follow the planet grid, where one movement is one square on the planet grid. So you can move it left, right, up, or down, not diagonally. Rover movement may be split between multiple rovers. So if you got both of those out, you can split the movement. So if you have two movement, each rover can move one space orthogonally once. The rovers may move both on tiles and on the planet grid. So you will want to move the rovers off the planet tiles onto the tile or onto the planet itself to collect life pods. Rovers may move both on tiles and on the planet grid, like I just said, and you may backtrack these rovers. There is no prevention of backtracking the track you just went with your rover. If the rover tracker reaches the top of the track, you still gain movement every time you place a subsequent rover tile. As I mentioned earlier, the rover resource track has a 4 with an infinity symbol at the top, meaning you can always move that 4 spots if you continue to lay that resource down. So again, you are collecting meteorites and life pods. So move your rover onto or through a meteorite or life pod to collect it and place the collected component onto your player board. Your life pod will give you victory points at the end of the game, 1 per life pod. And then the meteorites, you will get 1 point per three meteorites that are collected. And these are placed on your corporation board. And then a component, which it can be a tile, a biomass patch, a meteorite from event card that is placed onto a rover, destroys the rover. It is possible for a player to destroy all of their rovers. It is possible that a rover is not available on the corporation board when claiming a rover milestone. All right, next up is the tech resource track. This is associated with the technology resource terrain on the polyomino tiles. So if you lay this terrain down, you are going to be moving up the technology resource track. So technology is that which separates us from our environment. When a player advances their tech track onto a tech milestone, they unlock powerful technology that may be used every round for the remainder of the game, unless it's otherwise stated. They provide the example for the Universal Coalition for the technology upgrades. Level 1 is tile adjacency placement restrictions may be ignored, meaning you can place the tile anywhere on your planet. Level 2, you may store biomass patches to be placed at the end of the game, which is usually pretty powerful if you want to fill in those gaps at the end of the game for scoring. Level 3, you get +1 each time you gain rover movement. Level 4, you will double water advancement from tile placement. There is a little bit of clarification needed for that. So you advance your water tracker twice instead of once when advancement occurs due to tile placement. You claim benefits as normal from each advancement, but do not advance your water tracker twice as a result of synergy boost, event cards, or tiles you do not place. And then for the Universal Coalition, level 5 would be you are unaffected by meteor strikes. Do not place meteorites. That is the tech resource track. All right, the last resource track we are going to discuss is the Biomass resource track. Biomass is the organic matter of fact that nothing is wasted. When a player advances their tracker onto a biomass milestone, they gain a biomass patch, which are set up at the beginning of the game. They are essentially a one tile, green tile that has the biomass resource on it. And this biomass patch is immediately placed on your planet following normal placement rules. That is, of course, if you've unlocked the level 2 technology, which you may store these. Biomass patches contain biomass terrain, but they do not contain a biomass resource and do not advance the biomass tracker. Biomass patches help you complete rows and columns on your planet. Pretty self-explanatory on these biomass resources. Like I stated before, it is nice to have the level 2 technology unlocked on the Universal Coalition to store these for end of game scoring to fill those holes on the spots you need and filled up more than others. All right, earlier I mentioned on the polyomino tiles, there is a 5th resource on there. Let me make sure I got that number right for you. I'm sorry, that would be the 6th resource. It does not have a matching resource track, and it is the energy resource. And it is depicted by a solar panel. They are on the tiles that you're laying on your planet. And when harnessed, energy will transform deficiency into efficiency. There is no energy resource track represented on the corporation board. When a tile containing an energy resource is placed, the energy resource advances another resource of your choice, limited to the following options. 1. The non-energy resource on the tile you placed. So again, all these tiles have 2 resources. So you can just simply advance the tracker for the other one on this specific tile. Or second, the resource of any one terrain that is orthogonally adjacent to the energy terrain area established from your tile placement. What this means is if you place this energy resource between another type of resource from another tile, you can use that also, but it must orthogonally touch the energy terrain. They provide an example here, which they show a tile of the Civ and energy. A tile containing an energy resource is placed and is not adjacent to any other tile. By default, the energy resource would then advance the Civ tracker. The tile Civ resource would advance the Civ tracker as well per normal rules. So essentially, you would move the Civ tracker twice for that specific tile since it is not touching another one. The second example they provide is a tile containing an energy resource is placed and is adjacent to other tiles. Choose to advance a resource based on the terrains orthogonally adjacent to the energy terrain area established from your placement. And so they have this tile placed next to tech, water, and not orthogonally by a rover. So they say the rover resource in this example may not be advanced because it does not connect with the energy terrain area. So again, we have the Civ, Tech, and Water, which is orthogonally connected. So you would choose one of those 3. And some clarification on this, the water terrain does not need to be on top of the planetary ice to be chosen for advancement from an energy resource. All right, so we've laid our tiles on our planet, moved up these resource tracks, and somebody has met the end of game conditions. It's time to score this bad boy up. Couple things prior to scoring. You want to make sure all the players have placed any biomass patches they have. They have executed any in-game corporation technologies, and have advanced any trackers due to in-game Civ cards. So your total medals equals your final score. First, you're going to count up the score medals for every complete row and column of your planet, as long as it does not have a meteorite or empty grid square. Each row and column scores either 1, 2, or 3 VP based on the medal to the side or above it, respectively. Next, you're going to score the highest value medal that each tracker has surpassed or currently covers on the track it occupies. Next, score medals for the life pods and meteorites collected in your scoring area. 1 medal per life pod by default, and 1 medal per 3 meteorites, rounding down by default. It may be possible to improve these ratios via Civ cards, etc. Next, you will score medals for your Civ cards labeled in-game. Next, score medals based on the private objective card for any of your complete private objectives, only if playing with the private objective module or playing solo mode. Finally, score medals based on the neighbor objective cards. If your planet is the winner when comparing your planet with your adjacent neighbor's planet, you will skip this step if playing the solo game. In the case of a tie, the player with the fewest number of uncovered grid squares wins. If there is still a tie, the player with the fewest meteorites remaining on their planet wins. And a couple of frequently asked questions put into this book for you. And the question is, am I allowed to pick up a tile to see if it fits on my planet? The answer is yes. However, picking up a tile allows players to see the tile below it. If it becomes a concern, the table should create a house rule for future games. Next, am I allowed to flip the tile over to place it? Yes, there is identical artwork on both sides, so flipping a tile is part of your choice. Can I choose which tracker to advance first? And the answer is yes. It may be beneficial during certain situations to advance one tracker prior to the other. All right, we are going to start getting into the optional modules for this game. First up is the 2-player variant. To maximize strategy and planning specifically in a 2-player game, the space station should be rotated by 1 depot clockwise each round instead of the station commander choosing its orientation each subsequent round. The station should be rotated 1 depot. All other rules are the same. They provide an image in the book stating that the players are sitting across from each other and simply rotating the Susan 1 depot each round. Next up is the private objective module, and objective cards have 2 sides to them, as stated earlier in the components. The neighbor objective side is always used with a multiplayer game, and the private objective side is always used with the solo game. You can switch this up by this module. In a multiplayer game, you may optionally use private objectives in addition to neighbor objectives. Each player should choose one of the 2 private objective cards dealt to them and return the other card to the box. Once all the players have chosen one private objective, then neighbor objectives can be dealt. Private objectives may be kept face down until the end of the game, and private objective cards are scored if complete at the end of the game. Next up, we are going to get into the event deck, which is a little more detailed than the 2-player variant and the private objective. So let's get into that. All right, the next optional module is the event deck module, which I do recommend playing this game with it. It does add some variability and some challenges for your strategy in the game. So the event deck consists of 20 event cards. 1 card is revealed and executed each round to simulate the hardships that might be faced while developing a planet. The event deck may be added to the multiplayer game and should always be used during the solo game. All event cards must be executed by all players if possible, but should be ignored if the event card is solely responsible for triggering the end of the game. How to set up the event deck. Separate the event deck into 3 piles of cards separated by the event type. There are 3 types. There are green, which are less hard on your planet, the orange, which are medium, and red, which are going to make your strategy a lot harder. So again, that is green, orange, and red alerts. If more than one player is playing, remove any solo mode only event cards. So the event cards, some of them have a icon on them that shows a single picture of an astronaut with a 1. You remove these for multiplayer, and you will use these in the solo mode. You will next create an event deck of 20 cards to be used during the game by randomly selecting cards from the 3 event types. So all of the backs of these cards are the same, so you can simply just shuffle these up and pull 20 cards from them, or you can customize it the way you want. The event deck may be customized by selecting more of the punishing red alerts or the less punishing green and orange alerts. So again, that was 20 total cards. And I will explain these event deck cards here shortly if you are interested in learning exactly what they are going to do to your planet and your resources. Next is the event deck gameplay. Each round, once the space station has stopped all rotation, immediately draw the next event card and execute the action of the card. All actions must be executed if possible for all events and all players. 2. Play the rest of the round per the normal Planet Unknown rules. The event deck does add an additional game end condition, which is the last card of an event deck triggers the last round of the game as an additional game end condition. And that summarizes the event deck module. All right, we are going to get into the solo mode for Planet Unknown. So the setup is essentially the same as for a multiplayer with some minor adjustments. You're going to set up the planet, corporation board, civ cards, biomass patches, meteorites, and life pods, following the setup for a multiplayer game. And you will rotate the space station so there is a random depot facing you. You will shuffle and draw 4 objective cards, looking at the private objective side of the card. Choose 3 of the 4 cards to keep to establish the objectives for this game. Then you will set up the event deck based on the challenge level you choose to accept. And they provide a table here for that challenge. So the preliminary target score for the solo game is 60 medals, and your final target score is adjusted based on the composition of the event deck. So essentially, you start with 60 medal goal, and then you adjust that number depending on how many red, orange, and green alerts you put in that. So if you are playing 3 to 6 red alerts, you will subtract 5. 3 to 6 orange, subtract 1, and then if you put 3 to 6 green alerts, you'll add 3, and essentially do the math on that. So you would have a medal score of -5, so that's 55, then subtract another 1 for the orange alerts. That would be 54, and then you add 3, so your target score would be 57 if you had 3 to 6 orange alerts, green alerts, and red alerts in your stack. And that depends also if you add more. So 7 to 10, you're going to subtract 7 on the red, 2 on the orange, and then you're going to add 6 for the green alerts. If you have 11 to 14 red alerts, subtract 9. Orange alerts, 3. And then if you have 11 to 14 green alerts, add 9 to that. And then if you're going super challenging, you're going to add 15 or more event cards. If you put red, alerts in there. You're going to subtract 11, orange 4, and then green add 12. So just for an example, this player put 8 red alerts in their deck, 3 orange alerts in their deck, and 9 green alerts. So the red alerts, they subtract 7. The 3 orange, they will subtract 1. And then 9 green alerts, they will add 6. So they started with 60 metals. Subtract 7, 1, and then add 6 equals a -2. So the final scoring target would be 58 metals. And then when the game is complete, you compare your final score to the final target score, comparing it to the outcomes. So if you scored -15 metals, it is a critical fail. We're going to need another planet. -10 metals, any sign of other survivors. -5 metals, low capacity, but at least we survive. And then if you reach the target score, mission complete and job well done. If you meet the target score +5 medals, you have excellent work. You've earned a promotion. +10 medals would be, this might be the best planet we've seen yet. And then finally, if you have +15 medals, all stars have aligned because of you, Planet Terra. So during the solo mode gameplay, solo play follows all the same rules as a multiplayer game. However, instead of choosing which depot to draft tiles from each round, just rotate the space station clockwise by 1 depot. Rotate the space station clockwise, and then draw and execute a new event if possible. Then finish the rest of the round per normal Planet Unknown rules. And that sums up the solo mode. All right, let's start getting into the coalition or corporation boards. These words are used interchangeably through the rulebook in the game. So if I say corporation or coalition, I mean the same thing here. The corporation boards each have a symmetric side and an asymmetric side. The symmetric side allows all players to play the same game with the same rules, and the asymmetric side allows each player to control a unique corporation with a unique set of rules. Each unique corporation is explained here in this podcast coming up, and players can play with either symmetric or asymmetric or a combination of both. Again, these were dealt out during setup to each player along with their planets, and these boards are where you are adjusting your resources. And again, you have Civ on the left side with the track going up. That's going to unlock Civ cards for you. Then your water resource track, which is strictly victory points. And then you have your biomass, which allows you to unlock biomass patches to fill in those gaps on your planet. Then the rover track, which unlocks your rover and movement for your rover to collect meteorites and life pods. And lastly, the tech resource track that unlocks specific abilities for a corporation. So let's start with the Universal Coalition. All right, so the Universal Coalition starts with 2 rovers, not on the board, just beside your coalition board. And you will advance your trackers to gain benefits, unlock milestones, and score the highest medal your tracker covers or surpasses. So for the level 1 tech, tile adjacency placement restrictions may be ignored. Once you reach level 2, you may store biomass patches to be placed at the end of the game. Level 3, +1 each time you gain rover movement. And level 4 is double water advancement from tile placement. And level 5, you are unaffected by meteor strikes and do not place meteorites. And on each of these boards, there is a section at the top where you store your life pods you collect, and you store your meteorites that you also collect. Again, you are going to get 1 point for each life pod collected and 1 point per 3 meteorites collected. And that is the universal, the symmetric corporation that you are suggested to play with on your first game. Now let's start getting into the asymmetric corporations. So the first one up is called the Republic Corporation, and you start with 1 rover. not on your planet, beside your board, and you must regress another tracker each time you claim a milestone from the Civ track, and you do not claim benefits when you regress. So the Republic theme is we invested in top talent to win the race for discovery and innovation. Again, you must regress another tracker each time you claim a milestone from the Civ track. But you do not claim benefits when you regress. This advantage is that you get 7 Civ milestones, and the weakness is you only get 1 rover, and you have to regress on the other tracks. So your tech levels, at level 1, you're going to gain movement based on your rover tracker when you draft a Civ tile. Level 2, you will add a card from the next rank to your choices when you claim a Civ milestone. Level 3, you can teleport your rover between any 2 Civ resources, 1 movement cost. Level 4, you will gain a synergy boost when you claim a Civ milestone. And finally, level 5, you look at all the remaining Civ cards and keep 2 of them at the end of the game. Couple clarifications on these texts I want to bring up. So the level 1, where you can gain movement based on your rover tracker when you draft a Civ tile, it is an immediate gain of movement even before you place your tile. If your rover tracker is not at a position with rover movement, then do not gain any movement. Okay, on tech level 2, where you add a card from the next rank to your choices when you claim a Civ milestone, the player claims a rank 3 Civ milestone. The player picks up all cards from rank 3 plus 1 card at random from rank 4 and chooses 1 to keep. All cards are then returned to their respective rank piles. And then on the regression of this corporation, regress another tracker, and you move any non-Civ resource tracker 1 position downward on the resource track, and you do not claim the benefits. And that is the Republic Corporation. Next is the Wormhole Corporation, and the theme for this one is we found a way to accelerate the accumulation of biomass on the planet. And then, so the Wormhole, you can advance your biomass tracker from tile placement only when you expand a biomass terrain area. Choose only 1 benefit each time you advance the biomass tracker. Your advantage is that you get surplus biomass patches, and your weakness is that tile placement has restrictions. Again, you start with 2 rovers for this corporation, and on your first level of tech, you get a biomass tracker may be reset to 0 if at maximum. Tech level 2, biomass patches may be placed on top of a tile. Tech level 3, gain 2 biomass patches instead of 1 once per round. Level 4, biomass patches may be stored and placed at the end of the game. And tech level 5, biomass patches may be placed to destroy meteorites. Some clarifications on these for the level 2, where you have biomass patches on top of another tile. It may be used to achieve biomass terrain connections, but you cannot place a biomass patch onto a meteorite. For your tech level 5, where your biomass patches may be placed to destroy meteorites, allows you to place a biomass patch onto a meteorite at game end, thus destroying the meteorite. They provide an example, so when the player advances a tracker and chooses to gain a biomass patch instead of a free advancement of their Civ tracker, there are always 2 choices when advancing. Metals are not included in choices, but scored at game end per normal resource tracker scoring rules. All right, we are going to get into the Cosmos and Horizon group corporation boards. Before we get too far, I want to mention that each of these corporations, as stated earlier, have a difficulty level printed on them, shown by meteorite symbols. And the ones I just went through, the Republic and Wormhole, are both level 2. The Cosmos and the Horizon group are also both level 2 difficulty. So first up, the Cosmos Inc. Corporation theme is that we plan to build momentum using everything at our disposal. The life pod design is especially intriguing. So the Cosmos, essentially you have your life pods. You will be able to put those on your resource tracks or the actual locations for your life pods. Let's explain that a little bit more. So you choose to position a collected life pod onto a resource track or your scoring area. Your trackers skip over the life pods when advancing. The benefits and metals covered by life pods are ignored though. So the advantage is that you get an advancement engine, meaning you can move up these resource tracks quickly. But the weakness is that the life pod scoring so if you do not have life pods on the scoring area, you will not score those at the end of the game. You only get one rover, and life pods will cover the benefits if you put those on the resource tracks to skip over. You may position life pods such that a tracker skips over more than one life pod at a time, and life pods only score medals if they are on your scoring area at the end of the game. You may use your tech to reposition them onto the scoring area later in the game. Let's get into those tech levels. So tech level 1, your rover may now move diagonally. Tech level 2, you can reposition 3 collected life pods immediately once per game. Level 3, reposition a collected life pod when you place an energy tile. Level 4, rovers moving onto energy terrain do not spend movement. And level 5, reposition 1 collected life pod once per round. That is your Cosmos Inc. Corporation. Next up is the Horizon Group Corporation. This is a level 2, like I stated a minute ago. The theme is we're ready to move out with a double fleet of rovers at your command. So as you can see or hear here, is you get 4 rovers. That is an advantage, but your weakness is that you must pick up and deliver your meteorites. So to collect a meteorite, your rover must pick it up and deliver it to a rover resource on your planet. So essentially, as you are driving the rovers around, you pick those up, put them on top of your rover physically, and you must move those back to a rover terrain to collect it. All right, so your tech level 1, rover tiles may be placed ignoring adjacency placement restrictions. Tech level 2, you gain 1 movement for each rover carrying a meteorite at round start. Tech level 3, you gain a biomass patch when you collect a meteorite. Level 4, destroy a meteorite by delivering it to water terrain. And level 5, advance your rover tracker once per round. And that is the Horizon Group Corporation. All right, next up we have the Jump Drive and the Oasis Unlimited corporations. The Jump Drive and Oasis is they are level 3 difficulty as far as the corporations. First off, the Jump Drive. The theme is that we established a connection with another galactic civilization. They're ready to equip us with powerful technology at the expense of our life pods. So on the Jump Drive, you are going to be putting your life pods on the tech areas on your corporation board, and these will unlock special abilities. So you choose to place a collected life pod onto your tech or your scoring area. A life pod placed onto tech unlocks your tech in any order. So the advantage is that you have flexibility in your tech and you have 6 available techs. Your weakness is life pod scoring. At the end of the game, if you use these life pods on your tech track, you do not score those. And you will only get 1 rover for this corporation. So for Tech A, you will gain a synergy boost instead of a biomass patch once per round. Tech B is you get to teleport a rover to a tile of the same terrain, 1 movement cost once per round. Tech C, advance the tracker twice when using a synergy boost once per round. Tech D, you may treat a tech resource as energy during tile placement. And Tech E, you can choose a tracker and claim all benefits in its row once per game. And Tech F, draw 3 objectives and choose one that all players compete for once per game. Couple clarifications. A tech may be used immediately when it is unlocked. Be aware that the jump drive has little incentive to advance their tech resource tracker, as they score fewer medals the further they advance tech. For the Tech D, when you are treating a tech resource as energy during tile placement, treating tech resource as an energy resource during tile placement only applies to tile placement and not end of game resources. And then Tech E, where you get to choose a tracker and claim all benefits in its row once per game. A row consists of 5 resource track positions that span across all resource tracks of the corporation board as designated by the current tracker position. And that is the Jump Drive Corporation. Next up is the Oasis Unlimited. Again, this is a level 3 difficulty. And this corporation has the tracker of the water resource kind of zigzagging through all of the resources. And that will make sense here in a second. So the theme is that we have the potential to harness electrolysis and supplement other core functions of the planet, but the path ahead is not yet fully clear. So, advance your water tracker once for each water terrain square that covers planet ice. Gain the benefits from advancing your water tracker even when it advances onto another track. So the advantage here is your tracker manipulation, but in the metals on water track, the weakness includes a long winding water track. So if you're going to utilize the water track, you have to focus on putting down water tiles on the ice on your planet, which is also limited. All right, so for your tech level 1, you will skip over another tracker blocking your advancement. Tech level 2, you gain 1 movement for each rover starting the round on water terrain. Tech level 3, advance your water tracker once if you place your tile covering no ice. Gain a biomass patch when you place a water resource tile for level 4. And level 5, gain a synergy boost when you place a water resource tile. Couple clarifications here. Instead of simply advancing upward, your water tracker advances toward the end of the resource track, always following the irregular path. Each resource tracker only scores medals once based on its corresponding resource track. For the tech level 1, a tracker must stay on its corresponding track. And that is the Oasis Unlimited, which you start with 2 rovers for this corporation. All right, we are wrapping things up as far as the corporation boards. The next 2 are included in the Kickstarter and Deluxe Edition, and they are the Makeshift Corporation and the Flux Industries Corporation. The Makeshift is a level 4 difficulty, and the Flux is a level 3. First up, the Makeshift Corporation. The theme is that we don't mind being late to the party and plan to catch up with our scrappy approach. So for Makeshift, you may advance any tracker diagonally onto another adjacent track. Any tracker may claim any benefit, and your tech levels become locked if no tracker occupies the tech track. The advantage of this corporation is you have flexibility and tracker manipulation, but your weakness will be resource dependency. You start with 2 rovers, and for tech level 1, you will treat Civ and tech tracks as adjacent. And then tech level 2, +1 to rover movement if more than one tracker occupy the rover track. Tech level 3, shift a tracker laterally to an adjacent track instead of advancing. And tech level 4, you regress any one tracker once per round. And tech level 5, you can score each tracker as the highest scoring tracker on the track it occupies. Couple clarifications. A resource tracker may block another resource tracker from advancing. Resource trackers score medals based on the track they occupy when the game ends. For Tech Level 1, trackers may advance diagonally from Civ to Tech and vice versa. Tech Level 3, a lateral shift is when a player moves a tracker horizontally to an adjacent resource track and claims the benefit. And Tech Level 4, when you regress, move a resource track one position downward on the resource track and do not claim the benefits. That is the Makeshift Corporation. Lastly, we have the Flux Industries. We have unrivaled tech, but have yet to figure out how to use it all at once. This corporation comes with a special Flux token that you will be using along with your corporation. It is a small blue token with the Flux Industries logo. So your Flux token designates one of your tracks as the Flux track. Whenever you unlock a tech level, you may reposition your Flux token. Only your most recently unlocked tech is available. Your advantage is that you have power level and versatility, but your weakness is that one tech is available at a time. You will have 2 rovers with this corporation, and for your first tech level, you will gain 2 movement for each rover starting on terrain of the Flux track. Tech level 2, you will advance 1 tracker to the next milestone of the Flux track once per game. And when you unlock Tech level 2, choose the Flux track as normal. You may advance your tracker to the next milestone on the Flux track anytime before you unlock Tech level 3. So Tech level 3 is you get to improve the Flux track. You will get +1 to Civ card rank when you reach a milestone. You will double synergy boost on the water track. You will take 2 biomass patches instead of 1, and you will get +1 when you gain rover movement. So only the benefits of the Flux track are improved. Disregard all other improvements that do not correspond to the Flux track. Your Tech level 4 is you collect a meteorite when you place a resource tile matching the Flux track, and when you collect a meteorite from your planet if possible. And Tech level 5, you will advance the Flux track once per round. And that closes up the corporations for Planet Unknown. Again, these 2 are only available in the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition. All right, now we are going to start getting into the planets for this game. Again, these were set up at the beginning of the game, and each player gets a planet. They all have a symmetric side and then an asymmetric side. There are some that are only included in the Deluxe Edition, but let's start with the very first one. It is the symmetric planet. It is called KSB A156, and you will score medals for every complete row and column. And it is your standard planet. Most of the terrain looks like a desert with some ice going through some parts of it. There are spots for 6 life pods, and it just follows the basic rules of the game. Nothing special in particular, but this planet does look pretty cool. It has, like, again, a desert type theme for the picture of the planet, and that is the standard KSB A156 planet. All right, the first asymmetric planet we have up is planet K273, and it is they have a note for the name. 273 is the freezing point of water in Kelvin. The unique challenge of K273 is the ice. It's unstable and seems to shift. You better avoid any overlap. And the specific rules for this planet are you may not place a tile that overlaps both planet terrain and planet ice. So this planet is mostly covered in ice, very little land terrain on it. There are 6 spots for life pods, like the other planets. So you are going to be able to move quickly up the water resource track on this planet, but you will have some restrictions because you cannot overlap tiles with the water and the land. That is planet K273. All right, the next planet up is planet Gaia, and they provide a note of the name Gaia. It is the personification of Earth in Greek mythology. This civilization is peaceful for now, but maybe not if you're tempted or forced to eliminate their cities. And this planet has spots for 6 life pods, and they also provide pictures of city tiles throughout this planet. And the planet is mostly green with a little bit of water ice in the middle in a square shape, and they have city icons around the planet. So every city not covered by tiles scores 2 medals. So your score complete rows and columns as normal. So you are trying to avoid putting tiles over these cities on this planet. Again, that is the planet Gaia, and it is legal to cover a city with your tile placement, but it will impact your score on this planet. All right, we have planet Persephone. This word is the Greek goddess whose travels are the reason for the 4 seasons. So for this planet, each quadrant has 1 restricted resource, and you do not place a restricted resource in the quadrant. It is legal to play a tile that crosses quadrants, provided it obeys the restrictions. So this planet is a level 3 difficulty. It has spots for 6 life pods on it, and it is divided into 4 quadrants. The top left, you cannot place any Civ resource. The top right, you cannot place any energy resource. The bottom left quadrant is the tech resource cannot be placed, and the bottom right quadrant is the water resource. So this planet looks like a desert type planet with a limited amount of water. You will not find any water in any of the bottom right quadrant, hence why you cannot place any water tiles in that quadrant. And that is the Persephone planet, and separated into quadrants by harsh climates. The elements are only with us when they are not against us. Next planet up is the planet Arashi, which is the Japanese word for storm. The wind underneath the ring is relentless. Make sure you are anchored before you test it. So the level for this planet is a level 2 difficulty. Every tile placed onto the planet's ring must also be anchored outside the ring. So the planet's ring occupies the 2 largest horizontal rows. Biomass patches may not be placed covering the ring. So this looks like a standard planet with a red tint to it, but it has a ring across the large horizontal rows in the middle of the planet. And when you place your tile down, it has to be anchored to the outside of the rings also. Like all the other planets, it has 6 spots for the life pods, and that is the planet Arashi. Next planet up is the planet Petra, which is the Greek word for stone or rock. It is barren of ice, but radiating with a grid of energy. Utilize this energy to your advantage. And you may treat the electrical currents as energy terrain, and there is no ice on this planet. Electrical currents count as energy terrain if uncovered at the end of the game. So this planet is a blackish gray planet, has electrical current going through different parts of the rows and columns on it. You do have 6 spots for life pods. It is a level 2 difficulty planet. Again, there is no ice on this planet, but the energy current on the planet acts as a energy terrain, which will allow you to utilize other resources on your planet just by those connected energy lines on the planet. This is one of my favorite planets in the game, Petra. And that wraps up planet Petra. Next up, we have the planet Tartarus, which is the deep abyss in Greek mythology. There is a giant chasm down the center that will make maneuvering and placement inconvenient. Tiles may not be placed covering the chasm. Rovers may not move across the chasm with orthogonal movement. And this is a level 3 difficulty planet. There are 2 points of the chasm that may be crossed if your rovers have diagonal movement tech. So, as explained there is a chasm or a rift through the middle of the planet, and your rover cannot travel across this unless you unlock diagonal movement on it. There are 6 spots for your life pods at the beginning of the game on this planet. That is planet Tartarus. Alright, next planet is planet Charybdis. This is the whirlpool monster from Homer's Odyssey. A giant pit has created an unusual gravitational field causing you to build from the inside outward. Your first tile placement must cover one of the central 4 squares, and you must obey tile placement rules as normal after your first tile placement. So there is a hole in the middle of this planet, which is a purplish color with ice on the planet and 6 spots for your life pods. This is a level 1 difficulty planet, and that is planet Charybdis. Alright, the next planet is the planet Cax, the Mayan word for jungle. The clouds with the unidentified substance are corrosive to the rover fleet. Please steer clear. Your rover may not move onto toxic planet terrain. You may place tiles over toxic terrain to neutralize it. And this is a greenish colored planet with different locations that have the toxic terrain on it. And again, you cannot move your rover onto this terrain. There are 6 locations for life pods. This is a level 2 difficulty planet, planet Cax. Alright, the next planet we have up is the Pajitnov planet. This is a planet named after the creator of Tetris, which it was in 1984. Order is better than chaos. Care must be taken not to disturb the order or risk finding chaos. This planet is not circular like all the other planets. This planet is more Tetris style, squared, hexagonal planet, and you must be able to slide your tiles into place on this planet. The tile must be able to slide into place from any direction. Biomass patches may be placed even if they cannot slide into place. That is planet Pajitnov, level 2 difficulty, and 6 locations for life pods. Next is planet Oblivion, which means extinction or nothingness, the absence of all color. Ice has amassed in the corners, and you will score each row and column only once as normal. Treat areas without grid squares as if they did not exist when determining if a row or column is complete. And this planet, if you want to call it, is not really a planet. This is a picture of a black hole with the event horizon around it, and water has amassed in the corner of the grid. There is 6 spots for life pods. This is a level 3 difficulty planet, planet Oblivion. Next, we have planet Cerberus. This is the three-headed hound from Greek mythology, and you will gain a bonus 2 medals for each planet your tiles cover completely. 3 planets are better than 1 planet, and a complete planet is better than an incomplete planet. So the indicator brackets determine the grid area of each planet. Treat areas without grid squares as if they did not exist when determining if a row or column is complete. The maximum possible score is 45 medals. And this planet is actually made up of 3 planets on the board. There are 6 life pod spots as usual. This is a level 3 difficulty planet or planets, and that is planet Cerberus. All right, the last planet we have up here is planet Lacuna, which is an unfilled space or gap. It looks as though this planet has been through a galactic war, or maybe 2. Luckily, there are still plenty of resources. You may not place tiles covering the holes of the planet, and you treat holes as if they did not exist when determining if a row or column is complete. This planet is a bluish-green planet. There are holes throughout the grid of the planet. There are 6 locations for your life pods. This is a level 4 difficulty planet, planet Lacuna. All right, finally here, before we get into the card clarification, we're going to go over some glossary of terms and icon clarification throughout the game. So if you see the word benefit, it is any non-metal icon on your resource track. The metal icon, the number on the metal, contributes to your end-game scoring. The synergy boost icon, which is all the colors of the resources in a circle, you advance any resource track once. If you see a green arrow pointing up, this means advance. Move a resource tracker 1 position upward on the resource track. Claim the benefit underneath the tracker if possible. If you see a red regress arrow going down, you move a resource tracker 1 position downward on the resource track. Do not claim any benefits. A tile is a cardboard polyomino composed of 2 resources and 2 corresponding terrains. And here are the terrains. We have the black terrain, which is Civ Resource, the blue terrain, which is Water Resource, the green terrain is Biomass, the red terrain is Rover, and the gray terrain is your Tech, and the sand or desert type terrain is the energy terrain. So a resource is one of 2 icons on a tile. A terrain is 6 types of terrain, 1 corresponding to each resource, like I just explained. And a milestone is a benefit on a resource track that triggers a specific mechanic to that track. A square is a 1x1 area corresponding to the planet grid, a 1x1 section of a tile, or the size of a biomass patch. Biomass patch is a 1x1 square token that contains biomass terrain but no biomass resource. Place biomass patches immediately unless you have a tech that allows you to store them until game end. A biomass patch is a square but not a tile. A terrain area. A contiguous group of terrain consisting of 1 or more tiles of the same resource type touching orthogonally, not diagonally. Area size is defined by total like terrain squares in the group. Rover movement. Rover movement may be split between multiple rovers. Rovers may move both on tiles and on the planet grid. Rovers may backtrack. Collect. Take a component from your planet and place it onto your corporation board. A red X means destroy. Remove a destroyed component from the game. A no symbol or do not symbol is do not, may not, or cannot. This symbol describes additional gameplay restrictions. The additional restrictions must be followed if possible, but should be ignored if they become solely responsible for triggering the end of the game. Again, the corporation boards and the planets have a complexity symbol, which is a meteor. A higher complexity is given for asymmetric planets and player boards that create more rule restrictions or advanced planning. The astronaut with a 1 on it is a solo mode only component. It should only be used during solo mode. If you have a circle with an exclamation mark, it means it is an immediate effect and you execute any effects right away. A medal with a check mark is the end of game. Execute any effects at the end of the game. Include medals in your scoring if you met all necessary conditions. If you have a number alongside the synergy boost symbol, it means you gain the 3 rover movement and a synergy boost, or whatever number it is. They provide the number 3 for this icon. So if you have a number with the synergy boost, you will move your rover and also upgrade your synergy boost. Next is a blue life pod icon, and that essentially just means it is a life pod on your planet. So here are some common tech incorporation phrases. For the Flux, Oasis, and Horizon corporations, you will see at round start. Immediately execute this at the start of each round if the conditional requirements of the tech is true. For the Horizon Corporation, carrying a rover that physically has a meteorite on top of the rover in the process of meteorite delivery or destruction. The Horizon Corporation uses the words deliver or delivering. A rover carrying a meteorite reaches its destination and the player moves the meteorite from the rover to the corporation board. For the Oasis, Horizon, and Wormhole corporations, you will be gaining a biomass patch. So take a biomass patch from the supply and place it immediately, or store it if you have unlocked the technology. For the Flux, Republic, Oasis, and Horizon corporations, you will gain movement. So add movement to your total rover movement in this round. For the Universal Coalition and Horizon, ignore tile adjacency placement. This means remove the restriction for orthogonally adjacent tile placement. Rules for placement on the planet grid squares and inside planet perimeter must still be followed. Any other placement restrictions put in place by asymmetric planets, corporations, or event cards must be followed. All right, for the Cosmos and Jump Drive corporations, the position life pod term means place a life pod that was gained or collected into either the scoring area or another designated area of your corporation board. For the Universal Coalition and Wormhole Coalition, storing biomass patches, keep the biomass patch by your corporation board until a future point as noted by the corporation. For the Jump Drive and Republic corporations, you can teleport a rover. Pick up a rover from one square and place it down onto another square. The rover does not move on the planet between the starting and ending square. And finally, the Universal Coalition and Makeshift Corporation, you get plus X rover movement. So you add the X or the certain number to the number underneath the rover tracker each time you gain rover movement. That is the glossary of terms and icon explanation. All right, we are getting into the Civ card explanation. Again, these are the cards you will be going through as you move up the Civ Resource Track on your corporation board. And once you reach a certain milestone, you get to go through the deck and pick one and keep it. It may be an immediate effect or an endgame effect. During setup, you put as many cards there are as players plus 1. So for the level 1 Civ cards, we have an immediate effect of gaining 1 biomass patch and a note of Department of Natural Resources. Next, we have an immediate effect of advance any 1 tracker twice, It is the Department of Operations. It is an immediate effect. Next is our Temp Agency, an immediate effect, which you will advance 2 different trackers once each. Next, level 1 Civ card is the Department of Engineering. You will gain 4 Rover movement and immediate effect. Next, we have the Rising Planet Award, which gets you 2 medals at the end of the game. Next, the Salvage Yard. You will take a tile from your depot and place it. Do not advance for its resources. An immediate effect. Next is the Observance of First Planet Holiday, which gets you 1 medal at the end of the game. Next, we have the Commerce Agreement, 1 of 4. It's an in-game condition, and you claim Commerce Agreement cards to score medals. So you will find a Commerce Agreement card in each of the level of Civ cards, and if you collect a certain amount of them, you will get a certain amount of medals. But remember that these cards are shuffled and are only dealt as many players there are in the game, so you may not have the other Commerce Agreement cards in the other Civ decks. And again, that was the Commerce Agreement card in game. Similarly, we have the Meteorite Repo, 1 of 4 cards. You claim Meteorite Repo cards to improve Meteorite scoring, and essentially you will get 2 medals per 3. If you have 2 of these cards, you will get 3 medals per 3 meteorites. 3 of these cards, you will get 4 medals per 3, and finally, if you have all 4, you'll get 5 medals per 3 meteorites. And just like the Commerce Agreement, you may not have all these cards shuffled into the Civ decks. So keep that in mind. That was all the level 1 Civ cards. Next, we have the level 2 Civ cards. First one up is the Department of Parks and Rec, which gets you an immediate effect of gaining 2 biomass patches. Next is the relocation bonus, an immediate effect. Teleport a rover to any grid square on the planet or tiles. Next, you have the People's Planet Choice Award, which will give you 2 medals at the end of the game. Next, the First Planet Holiday, 1 medal at the end of the game. Next is Approved Overtime. You will collect 2 life pods from your planet, and immediate effect. Next, you have the New Angel Investors. Advance any 3 different trackers once each. An immediate effect. Now you have the Wage Increase card. Advance any 2 different trackers once each. Immediate. Next is the second Commerce Agreement card to score medals. If you have 1 of these, you will get 1 medal. 2, you will get 3. 3 of these, you will get 6 medals. And if you have all 4, 10 medals. That is Commerce Agreement card 2 of 4. In-game trigger. Or I should say in-game reward. Now we have the Meteorite Repo cards for Civ Level 2. Just like the first one, you will get a certain amount of medals depending on how many of these cards you get. That was the Meteorite Repo 2 of 4 in-game. Level 2 Civ cards. Let's get into the Level 3 Civ cards. First one up is the Depot Repair Online. You will take 1 tile from the depot in front of you and place it. An immediate effect. Then you have the Best in Planet Award, which will give you 3 medals at the end of the game. Next is the Unionization. Advance all trackers to the 5th position if possible. Do not activate Synergy Boost. An immediate effect. Next is the Top Planet Award. Will get you 2 medals at the end of the game. Next is the Partnership Opportunity. Advance any 3 different trackers once each. Immediate. Next is an immediate card. The Landing Zone Approved. Destroy all meteorites from 1 row or 1 column. Next is the search and rescue team. You will collect 3 life pods from your planet immediately. Now we have our third commerce agreement card to score medals. Commerce agreement 3 of 4 in game. Next we have the claim meteorite repo cards to improve meteorite scoring. Meteorite repo 3 of 4 in game. All right, now we are getting into our level 4 Civ cards. So first up is the Planet Lottery. You will get 3 medals and advance any tracker once at the end of the game. Next is the Best Planet to Live On award. You will get 4 medals at the end of the game. Next is the Sustainable Living Act card. In game, your biomass patches are worth 1 medal each. Now we have an immediate effect, which is the Global Parks system. You will gain 3 biomass patches. Next, we have the Meteor Defense Program, which is an immediate effect. You get to destroy any 3 meteorites. Next is the Space Citizen Decree in-game. Your collected life pods are worth 2 medals instead of 1. Next, we have the Gaming Commission, which will give you 2 medals and advance any tracker once at the end of the game. Next, we have our 4th Commerce Agreement. So you claim these Commerce Agreement cards to score medals. Lastly, we have our Claim Meteorite Repo cards to improve meteorite scoring. This is the 4th out of 4 Meteorite Repo cards for end of game. All right, next we are going to get into our event cards. Remember, there are 60 of these, 20 in each color, green, orange, and red. And the green are your least effective cards that are going to make things harder for the game. Orange or medium, and red alerts are going to be the worst. Again, this is an optional module that you do not have to play with, but I recommend you do. And essentially, you shuffle these up and pick a certain amount of these cards to put into a deck of 20, and you will pick one in between each round, or draw one between each round, and apply its effect immediately. And this also adds a in-game trigger, meaning once the last event card is pulled, it cues the end of the game. First, let's get into our green alerts. And again, there are some of these with an astronaut, which is a solo mode only card. First up, we have a solo mode card, and it says, I love it when there's no queue, and you get to rotate the space station to any depot. Green alert. Next solo green alert card is, are you up for some overtime? Draw an extra objective card and add it to your objectives. Next green alert solo card, researchers think they're close to a breakthrough. Add an extra Civ card to each rank. Next is gain an extra rover and position it on a tile you place this round. Have you seen the A16? It makes the A15 obsolete. That was a solo mode event card. Now we are getting into the multiplayer green alert cards. Something jumped on the scanners, probably just a glitch. Advance the Civ Biomass or Water Tracker 3 positions. Do not gain the benefits. Next, we have check out these mods, Advanced Rover or Tech Tracker. Next, we have more rovers or more researchers? Question. Advanced Rover or Civ Tracker? Next, we have what is the ETA on the supply shipment? Advanced Water or Civ Tracker? Next, can't anybody keep a secret? Advanced Civ or Tech Tracker? Next, we have the card with the rover and water icons. It says, can the rovers run over water? Advanced Rover or Water Tracker? Next, green alert, we have the Advanced Rover or Biomass Tracker. Do you think we'll get stuck? Next, green alert, we have Advanced Tech or Water Tracker. Sounds like they finally figured out hydro. Next, you can advance the Biomass or Civ tracker. I hear it'll take 1,000 years before we have enough oxygen to venture out. Next green alert is gain a synergy boost. We'll take a happy accident when we get it. Next is collect a meteorite from the planet. Go run some analyses on this sample. Collect a life pod from the planet is our next card. These delivery drones are out of this world. Next we have gain a synergy boost. Wow, a special fuel canister was in the glove compartment. Next we have the gain 1 biomass patch. Just put it anywhere. Next is the advance the biomass or tech tracker. I heard of the experiments. And last green alert card is advanced biomass or water tracker. How about that environment? Let's get into the orange cards. And as I look through these orange cards looking for the solo mode ones, I am reminded that there are no solo mode orange alert cards. All right, so here we go. Orange alert. You will regress rover or civ tracker. Should we fix the flat or can it still run? Next, regress rover or tech tracker. What do you mean? They cut the power. Next is regress rover or biomass tracker. It's a rough day to survive out there. Next is regress rover or water tracker. Try to avoid driving into the lake next time. Next, we are going to regress the civ or tech tracker. That airlock explosion set us back. Next, you will have to regress the water or civ tracker. Rations are starting to sound delicious. Next, we have the regress the biomass or tech tracker. We can't keep this thing alive with extension cords. Next is the orange alert, regress tech or water tracker. Sounds like that hydro experiment went way south. Next, you will be regressing the biomass or civ tracker. There's already too many people up here. Next, regress the biomass or water tracker. I thought they said the air was breathable. Next, we have rovers cannot move into biomass terrain this round. It's too overgrown. The rover just won't fit there. Next are rovers cannot move onto water terrain this round. We need a cleanup on row 5. I repeat, we need a cleanup on row 5. All right, next you will regress any single tracker if possible. Pick your poison today. Next is add 1 meteorite to an empty symbol on your tiles. I swear I just cleaned that spot. Next is the rovers cannot move onto energy terrain this round. It'll fry the fuel cells if we go that way. Next is do not advance 1 resource from your tile placement. This geodesic dome must be half full. Next we have tiles cannot be placed on the planet edge. Keep your ideas inside the box today. Next is rovers cannot move onto rover terrain this round. These aren't the vehicles you're looking for. Next, your rovers cannot move onto tech terrain this round. We lost 3 vehicles last year. They just disappeared. And last orange alert is rovers cannot move onto civ terrain this round. It's faster to just drive around. Next, we are getting into the red alert cards. We have 2 solo mode red alert cards, and the first solo mode one is choose 1 shape from the current depot, remove all tiles of that shape from the space station. The entire lot is defective. Next solo mode red alert is destroy 1 of your objective cards. They just killed the project. I don't get paid enough for this. Those were your 2 red alert solo mode cards. Now we're getting into the multiplayer ones. This one is do not gain any synergy boosts this round. They're cutting funding where now. Next, choose to gain a synergy boost or peak at the next event. I've got a bad feeling. Next, destroy 1 life pod on your planet. It was pinging regularly and then it just stopped. Do not gain milestone benefits when advancing your tracks. These blackouts are getting more frequent. Next, we have choose to gain a synergy boost or peak at the next event. Time is up. Let's do this. Next, we have the destroy one collected life pod. All that work was for nothing. Then we destroy one collected meteorite on the next card. It just spontaneously combusted. Next, we have tiles cannot be placed onto planetary ice. They found some signs of life under the ice. Next, tiles cannot be placed next to a matching resource terrain. Too much of any one thing is always a bad thing. Tiles cannot be placed onto planetary ice for this next card also. Apparently, it's deeper than we thought. Next, we have tiles cannot be placed on the planet edge. The planet is flat, obviously. Next, we have do not gain milestone benefits when advancing your tracks. Are you positive it's in position? Nothing happened. Next, red alert is ignore one of the resources on your tile this round. The geodesic dome is definitely half empty. Next is add one meteorite to an empty symbol on your planet. That thing almost clipped me. Next, we have destroy a rover if you have more than one on your planet. I don't know, 1 minute it was there, and the next pieces were everywhere. Next, red alert, remove one Civ card from each rank at random. We need more volunteers. The few of us can't do it alone. Next, we have regress any single tracker twice. How come nothing ever works in this place? And last red alert is regress any single tracker 3 times. This is everyone's fault but mine. And those are your 60 event cards. Alright, we are getting into the objective cards. Remember, there are 28 of these and they are double-sided. So first I'll go through all the private objectives, and then we will get into the neighbor objectives. The private objectives are for the solo mode, but you may use them as a optional module in the multiplayer game. So first one up is the private objective, the project of Powerline. If you complete it, you will get 5 medals at the end of the game, and you create a terrain area containing 6 energy resources. Next, you have the alternative energy objective. You will place 5 or less energy resources worth 5 medals. And before we get too far, all of these private objectives are worth 5 medals, so I will state that here. Next one is the complex. You will create a 3x3 area of Civ terrain. Next is the Panama objective. Create 2x5 area of water terrain. Next, we have the Power Strip project. Create a 2x5 area of energy terrain. Next, we have the Genome project. Create a 2x5 area of tech terrain. Next, we have the Meltdown project. End the game with tiles covering all planetary ice. Now we have the Voltaic project. Create a 3x3 area of energy terrain. Next is the Cleanup project. Collect 9+ meteorites. Next is the Equator. Create a 2x5 area of biomass terrain. Next is the Doghouse. Create a 3x3 area of rover terrain. Next is the Highway. Create a terrain area containing 6 Civ resources. Next we have the Exponent project. Advance the tech resource track to maximum. Next we have the Crowdsource project. Advance the Civ resource track to maximum. Next is the project of Overgrowth. Advance the biomass resource track to maximum. The Amazon project. Create a terrain area containing 6 water resources. Next is the Lattice project. create a 3x3 area of water terrain. Now we have the Coveralls project. In the game with tiles covering all planetary land. Next is the Tight Ship. Collect more life pods than meteorites. Next we have the Secret Lab project. Create a terrain area containing 6 tech resources. Next is the Runway. Create a 2x5 area of rover terrain. The Skyway. Create a 2x5 area of Civ terrain. Next is the Rubik. Create a 3x3 area of tech terrain. Next is the Germinate project. Create a terrain area containing 6 biomass resources. Next is the Pony Express project. Create a terrain area containing 6 rover resources. Next is the Overdrive project. Advance the rover resource track to maximum. Next, we have the Landfill project. Create a 3x3 area of biomass terrain. And the last private objective is the Flow Rate. Advance the water resource track to maximum. Let's get into the neighbor objectives. Again, these will be placed in between players in the multiplayer game, and you're competing against your neighbor on the projects. If you win the objective, you will get 5 medals at the end of the game. If it is a tie between the players, both players share 2 medals. First one up is the Garden. Have the most unique areas of biomass terrain on your planet. Next is the Pinnacle project. Have the most resource tracks at maximum. Next is the Perimeter. Have the most Civ resources on the edge of your planet. Next is Project X. Have the most unique areas of tech terrain on your planet. Project Luddite. Have the least tech resources on your planet. The Sprawl project. Have the most unique areas of Civ terrain on your planet. Next is the Vaporize project. Collect the least meteorites. Now we have the Biome project. Have the largest single area of biomass terrain on your planet. Next is the Geode project. Collect the most meteorites. Next is the Supercharger project. Have the most unique areas of energy terrain on your planet. Next is the Circuit project. Have the most rover resources on the edge of your planet. Next is the Transit project. Have the largest single area of rover terrain on your planet. Next is the Galvanize project. Have the least energy resources on your planet. Now we are getting into the Conservation project. Have the least water resources on your planet. Next is the 20% project. Have the least biomass resources on your planet. The Silicone project. Have the largest single area of tech terrain on your planet. Ring World. Have the most biomass resources on the edge of your planet. The Deductible project. Collect the least life pods. Next is the Rescue project. Collect the most life pods. Next is the Plasma project. Have the largest single area of energy terrain on your planet. Next is the 10,000 Lakes project. Have the most unique areas of water terrain on your planet. Next, we have the Interchange project. Have the most unique areas of rover terrain on your planet. Next is the Beacon. Have the most energy resources on the edge of your planet. Next is the Mega City project. Have the largest single area of Civ terrain on your planet. Now we have the Pacific project. Have the largest single area of water terrain on your planet. The Rural project. Have the least Civ resources on your planet. And then we have the Taurus project. Have the most tech resources on the edge of your planet. And the last neighbor objective is the Rideshare. Have the least rover resources on your planet. And those are the 28 double-sided objective cards. All right, we are wrapping things up here in the lab. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today of the periodic table of components. I really enjoyed going through this game, Planet Unknown. One of my favorite things about this game is the variability of it, as you have learned. The amount of planets and the amount of corporation boards and the ability to change the Susan, SUSAN, polyomino tiles, the setup of that. You are guaranteed to have a different game each time on this game. With any players, this game is super easy to teach to your fellow players. So hopefully, after listening to this podcast, you know the game from A to Z. You know all the elements. Hope you enjoyed hearing about all the cards and different event cards and objectives in this game, and the Civ cards that you can upgrade certain abilities. Again, this was the deluxe edition. The components in this are very nice, but even the components in the standard edition are nice. Now, we are going to close things up here. You can follow the pictures for this podcast at Periodic Table Pics, where I post pictures on Instagram of setup, the different components, the different elements of components, pretty much anything about the board game. You can find me at Periodic Table Pics on Instagram. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead and review that on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. If you are interested in hearing specific games or wanting to learn the rules of a specific game, you may message me on Instagram. I also have a email address. It is tptoc podcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. If you have any additional thoughts, reach out to me. I have been your lead gamist, Greg, here in the lab at the periodic table of components. Catch y'all next time.